So in cystic fibrosis, the only definitive life-saving treatment is a lung transplant. In patients who have a lung transplant, those with a greater exercise capacity have better outcomes, including a decreased length of hospital stay and decreased mortality pre and post-transplant. Unfortunately, however, the only accepted means of increasing exercise capacity in this population is pulmonary rehabilitation, which carries significant limitations. First, it's designed for an elderly population. It's inaccessible for some patients in remote areas. The completion rate is only 50%, and perhaps most importantly at this time during the COVID era is that CF patients are susceptible to lung infection due to their inability to clear lung secretions, which makes group settings particularly risky. So therefore, the purpose of the current study was to compare exercise adherence in CF patients enrolled in a home telemedicine rehab program compared to a traditional hospital-based program. Okay, so how do we do this? Once a cystic fibrosis patient was admitted to the lung transplant list, their doctor would refer them to our study. And before beginning our home exercise, we started them with a cardiopulmonary stress test to determine study eligibility and as well to design a personalized workout program for them with heart rate zones. We then collected pre and post shortness of breath and 6-minute walk distance tests. And then we started the program. The goal of the program was to complete 24 remote sessions in 12 weeks. And this is a standardized pulmonary rehab dose. For our control group, we retrospectively analyzed all of the CF patients who had been treated since 2013 at Columbia. This was a total of 8 patients that had gone through pulmonary rehab. And for our statistics, we ran an independent t-test, chi-square test to determine significant differences between groups, as well as a Shapiro-Wilk test to test data normality. Okay, so our exercise program. We provided all of the equipment the patients needed, including these bike pedals and weights shown on the screen here, as well as a heart rate monitor and a Peloton app, which we loaded onto their cell phones. We were able to monitor on the Peloton app heart rate data and exercise adherence, which is shown on the right side of the screen here. We would then follow this up with frequent texts for encouragement, as well as review weekly exercise logs to make sure they were on track. And this is what the Peloton app looks like when you're logged in. As soon as the participants logged in, they had the option to select from literally thousands of different guided exercise programs that were fully customizable for the user. We gave the patients the flexibility to work out whenever, wherever they wanted, as long as it was recorded and they completed the 24 sessions. At the top of the screen here is what it would look like if you were logged into an upper body strength training session. Okay, so in terms of baseline characteristics, the 2 groups, hospital and home, were largely the same, except one difference I'm going to highlight is that all of the patients in the hospital group are female, and then we had a more even split, 5 of 11. But in terms of the post-intervention based outcome measures, we found 2 key statistically significant differences. First, in the red circles, we have 5 of 11 of our patients completed the 24 sessions in 12 weeks, and 0 of 8 completed the hospital-based program. Second, the average number of sessions were significantly greater in the home program compared to the hospital program. Okay, so figure 1 demonstrates a very interesting trend. First, just to orient everyone, in green we have the home program, and in blue the hospital program. The red dashed box here demarks the 5 participants who actually completed the program. And what we're seeing here is that in green, we actually had a number of participants in the home program complete more than the recommended 24 sessions, and others who weren't as interested in completing the program. So what I think this demonstrates is those who are highly self-motivated might thrive in a self-directed home program versus a more rigid, structured hospital-based program. And this trend is echoed in figure 2, where we see a higher number of average sessions completed in the home group versus the hospital group, but a wider variability. Okay, so finally, we compared the change in 6-minute walk distance tests between patients in the home exercise group. Unfortunately, the hospital-based group, not enough of them had completed a post-intervention 6-minute walk test to make a group comparison. So what we did was we split our home group based on those who completed the program in 8 weeks versus those who did not. And we saw that those who completed the program very fast had a negligible reduction in their 6-minute walk test versus a significantly greater reduction in their exercise capacity if they did not complete the program. It's important to remember that exercise capacity, as measured by a 6-minute walk distance test, is one of the most significant predictors of mortality in this population. All right, so in conclusion, while hospital rehab may be seen as inherently safer due to their immediate access to medical assistance should the need arise, there were no adverse health events during our home exercise study. And while this is a pilot study and the results need to be reproduced in a larger randomized control trial, the data is promising and suggests that there may be greater adherence, may reward self-motivated individuals, and perhaps most importantly now, it provides the opportunity to provide pulmonary rehabilitation in a safe, socially distant manner. Nevertheless, there's still challenges. Clearly, completing 24 sessions in 12 weeks is difficult for a pre-transplant population. Perhaps what's necessary is to target patients earlier in the disease course, or to have individual discussions with your doctor, whether that patient would prefer a self-directed home program or a guided, structured, hospital-based program. So in addition to a larger randomized control trial, as I've mentioned, we need to determine the essential components of a home exercise program, whether that be one-on-one coaching, group video conferencing, or self-directed exercise like we did in our program, just to determine which one elicits the greatest exercise adherence and maintenance of exercise capacity. And thank you to everyone who helped me supported me on this work, and everyone on this call for their time and interest.